When it comes to eFoiling for your first time, there are some key body positions that are crucial for a safe and efficient ride. Let's dive into this chapter and let's go over these positions. The first body position is going to be on our belly. So when we get in the water, we're going to board the flight board or the eFoil from the rear of the board. We're going to make sure that we actually climb all the way onto the board and get a little bit more forward than we usually would on a boogie board or a surfboard. Typically on a boogie board and surfboard, our nose is up in the air, but when we engage the motor on an eFoil, that nose is going to kick up and it's an unwanted movement. So what we want to do is get forward on the board. Now, on most eFoils, when the nose goes under the water, the board is going to cancel and disconnect from your controller. So it's important that we keep the nose above the water surface, but not below. So let's go right into the body position. So first, we're on our belly. Now that we've made it to our belly, it's crucial that we keep our chin and our head up. One of the main reasons is we need to see where we're going. And also having your chin up will follow us all the way through into the standing position and riding. So I'm on my board, I've got my chin up, I'm shifting my weight a little bit more forward to keep that board level to the surface of the water, and I keep my chest upright. Now to steer on our belly, we're just going to use our head and our eyes to steer. So if I want to go right, I'm just going to turn my head to the right, look in that direction, and shift my weight. When I want to go back straight, I'm going to look straight and keep going straight. That same thing for the left. I'm just going to turn my head to the left and shift my weight left. That's it. That's all you have to do to steer on the board. When we're laying on our belly, just know that we're not going to steer as fast as we would if we were standing on the board or flying on foil. Now we're cruising along. We're at a moderate speed. Our board is now getting on plane. We're going to go into the high on knees position. This position is called high on knees because we're getting our hips above our knees. So to get to that position, we're going to do a slight plank. So we're going to pop up like so, and we're going to walk our knees up to our elbows and stay in this tight little ball. Once we're there, we're going to pop up into the high on knees position. Notice how my hips are straight above my knee. This is putting all my weight right here on the board. If I let my hips fall back, my weight is actually back here. Notice how when I'm back, my knees can lift up. When I'm up and high on knees, I can't really lift my knees too well. So being in this position is going to keep you glued to the water and prevent any unwanted lifting. Now, same thing when we were on our belly. To steer, we're only going to use our eyes and our head. So basically, if I want to go straight, I'm looking forward. When I want to go left, I'm going to turn my head, look in the direction I want to go, shift my weight. When I want to go back straight again, look straight. Same for my right, I look right, shift my weight. And that's how we steer. So practice riding on your knees, get comfortable, practice steering around, but know that since we are on the water, you're not going to steer as well as you would on foil. Now we're getting ready for our first touch and goes. So when we do our touch and goes, we're going to slowly let our hips fall back to create that lift. If you've ever seen an airplane take off from a runway, notice how the plane doesn't do this. The plane gradually lifts off. So we want to basically slowly bring our hips back. So just like so. We're going to slowly bring the weight back. Board's going to lift off the water. As soon as we feel that the board is totally off the surface of the water, we're going to pop back into high on knees. It's okay to be explosive with your hips. That's going to bring you back down and prevent any unwanted bouncing or lifting. So now that we're on the knees, we're doing our touch and goes. So we're slowly bringing it back. Board lifts off the water, back to high on knees. Same thing, just repeat over and over and over until you can kind of maintain that flight. You should be able to balance and fly the board, use your head to steer. Once you're on foil, you can use that head. You can actually just use your eyeballs. It's that easy once you're on foil. Now, we've mastered the high on knees touch and goes. Let's move on to standing. So we're in the high on knees position. I'm gonna put both hands down on the front of the board. And from here, it's very important that I keep my chin up. Keeping my chin up prevents my butt from coming up. Notice how I can't lift. It's like pop, lock, and drop it. So we're gonna keep my chin up, and we're gonna roll our shoulders over our hands, and that's gonna add extra weight to the front of the board so we don't lift. Now, depending on what stance you are, goofy or regular, that's the foot that's gonna come up front first. For this demonstration, I'm gonna get up goofy. So I'm gonna bring my right foot up, and I'm gonna replace my front knee with my right foot, and I'm gonna be patient. Let your foot become flat-footed, keeping your weight on your hands and that foot. Once you get your front foot up, we now have a pyramid. We have a tripod of support. So we have both hands down and one foot down. Your front hands and your foot can now support your back leg without lifting. So I'm gonna roll forward, keep weight on my front hands and my front foot, and I'm just gonna allow my back foot to come out. And I like to turn my back foot at a 90-degree angle. If you notice, my foot is facing, it's almost a 90-degree between both feet. That's a nice staggered stance. This is gonna allow you to balance. So we're back down, got my hands out front, we get our back foot placed. Notice how I keep my butt low. I don't just pop up in the air and stand. If you notice, my weight just went to my back foot, and that's gonna create unwanted lift and typically cause a fall. So when we pop up, we're actually gonna pop up into a warrior two pose or a forward lunge. So I'm lifting just to get my back foot placed, and I'm keeping all that weight on my front leg, and I'm slowly just gonna bring my chest up. It's very important that I keep my front knee bent, my back leg somewhat straight, and I get that chest up. Notice when my chest goes up and back, my hip goes forward. So my lead hip is now going to the nose of the board. Notice my back leg is straight. So our hips move with our knees. When my front knee bends, more weight goes on that foot, my hip goes forward. When my front knee straightens out, my hip slowly works its way to the back of the board, creating pitch. The more I bend the back leg, the more pressure is on that tail, which is gonna pitch the wing really hard. If I wanna bring the nose back down, I slowly straighten my back leg, bend my front knee, and I bring it back down to the water. This is how we're gonna execute a touch and go. So, we're riding on the board, we're cruising along, but before we do the touch and goes, we wanna practice steering. So same thing as before, we're standing on the board, we're riding, we look left to go left, we look right to go right, no leaning. I can't say it enough. Leaning is a no-no, do not lean. We are shifting our weight using our hips and our knees. So now that we're riding, we've got our turns dialed by turning our head. What we're gonna do is slowly do our touch and go. So same thing when we were on the knees. We're gonna slowly shift our weight back by straightening our front leg, bending that back knee. As soon as our board lifts off the water, we're gonna bend that front knee again, put it back down. Same thing. We're gonna slowly shift our weight back. As soon as we feel the board come up an inch or two, put it back down. Now note, you definitely wanna do this slowly. If you do it a little too quickly, your board might nose up, and you might go too high, which is gonna cause you to potentially fall because it requires more balance and stability. So just keep repeating this. We're gonna do touch and goes. We're gonna go back, put it back down, back, put it back down, until we can basically do this consistently and ride low and slow. So, meaning we're gonna keep the board just maybe a couple to 10 inches off the water, maybe 2 to 10 inches off the water, and that's it. Now you're foiling. Once we've dialed in our touch and goes, now we need to lift, level, and hold. So we've already got the lift from the touch and go, so we're coming back, we're lifting. Now we need to level. So the way that we level is we somewhat come back down, but then we keep pressure on this back leg, and that's gonna hold us. So we're gonna lift, level, and then hold on that back foot to maintain that height. Now, when it comes to height control, it's all in the front knee. You bend the knee, you go down. You straighten the leg, you're gonna go up. And you can practice this. You can actually do drills. So while you're flying, slowly bend the front leg, you'll notice you go down. Right before you touch the water, straighten that leg, and you're gonna notice you come right back up. If you've ever seen foilers pump, this is the pump. We're using our front leg to kind of push off, change the pitch of the wing, and then bring it back down. Now that we've mastered these crucial body positions, we're ready to take flight and hit the water.